Hey everybody. Today right now I just want to do something a bit more optimistic. Hopefully get people in a bit better mood. The last video I did, very depressing for obvious reasons. But now I want to do something that's more lighthearted, kind of. I mean, it has to do with horror. I mean, obviously, this channel is all about. So what I'm going to do is stop. Our fire alarm keeps beeping, smoke detector, whatever, and yeah. But anyways, I want to do it was really gonna be top 10 in a specific order. Hold on, let me actually move one of them because one of them is in a bad spot. But I'm gonna change it to just 10 horror films that you just need to see in general. Because if I was going to do a top 10 horror film, I would have to sit down with Donnie for a good amount of time and actually think about it, So, without further ado, let's get this started. And the first one I have to do is, like I said, this was originally going to be top 10 best, but I don't think these are necessary. Some of these can be considered the best, but some of these, like I said, that'd be a different video for today. These are just top 10 must-see. So you're not going to see the Lost Boys in here, even though now that I decide that this is what the video is going to be, you would see that in here. But I'm too lazy to go and rearrange these. And the first one that I'm going to show you is, I can consider this to be one of the best horror films of all time, simply because of sheer spectacle and entertainment value out of this. It's a little scary, not too much. It's more comedic side, and it's Peter Jackson's masterpiece. Some of you may know where I'm going with this. It's Dead Alive. Definitely one of the goriest movies I've ever seen. It's not the goriest. I have seen gorier. I think Tokyo Gore Police is gorier than this because that's just spraying every 2 seconds. But this one, way better gore effects. I mean, this isn't just spraying, blood just spraying everywhere. It's actual, dismemberment, stuff like that. The effects were better, and has much more charm to it. And it really, you see this, and you find out it's by Peter Jackson. I remember when I saw this cover, I thought it was the silliest thing ever. It was before I knew anything about it. I didn't know, I would see it at Blockbuster. I never read the top there. I just kind of looked at it, and it's the goriest fright film of all time, which is debatable. I have seen gorier, Flowers of Flesh and Blood, not a horror movie, just a gore movie, if any of you have seen that. Anyways, this is definitely a very, very massive splatter flick. A lot of fun. A kung fu priest and everything, and I apologize about the glare. I've just had, the reason why there's glare is I have to make sure this camera is, on right, and I think that's actually glare from the light. But anyways, yeah, Dead Alive. It's a movie you have to see. It's sheer entertainment. I can see why some people might not like it, but I don't see why anyone could not like it. You know what I mean? Next is, I did a review for this. I remember I was very schizophrenic about it when I did the video. I had a really long day at work, and I needed a couple shots. I needed, that was a 5-hour energy and a monster. So, and it's Black Christmas, and I showed that video to one of the people I actually work with, and he asked me if I was on cocaine or whatever, and I was like, no, that was. I told him what it was, and Black Sunday. I said this before. I don't even think this takes place on Sunday. It should have been called what it was originally titled, called Mask of Satan. I think is what. Yeah, The Mask of Satan or The Vampire's Revenge. I think I saw that's what it's called somewhere. Great movie, very creepy. You can't go wrong with this. It's entertaining, it's creepy, it's just solid. It's solid. I really can't say much about it because I'll give too much away, but it's a solid movie, and it has one of the coolest, really, really well done opening act, in my opinion anyway. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely give it a look. I don't remember how, with my review for it, I don't remember what I said exactly because that was about a year ago, and I haven't watched it since. Maybe I gave the movie, I could have gave the movie a bad review for all I know, but I rewatched it again recently, and it's solid. It's real solid. You definitely gotta see it. Don't, if you get the chance, don't pass it up. It's brilliant. Like I said, Black Sunday isn't a good title for it. I guess that's just to give it a more widespread appeal. Because I don't think Mask of Satan would fly too much here in the States, because that, from what I understand, is an Italian film. Next is another Italian film. Yeah, that is Italian because it's Bava, isn't it? Yeah, but whatever. Is Zombi, the unofficial sequel to to George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. This movie, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Just plain simply. Like, there's just... And if you saw my top 30 favorite movies of all time, you would know that by now. But anyways, this is splatter. This is a gore. Like, this is a beautiful gore movie, and it says on the back, as gory as the law allows. I mean, if that's as gory, like, and it's pretty gory too. Like, if you're going to that extreme, like, it definitely gets a thumbs up for that. Like, I really want to get the 2-disc collection. The one that says Zombie 2 on it. Same cover, but it has like a slipcase. I want to get that one, because this is a very good movie. They actually came out with another release recently. I didn't get it. It just... I didn't really look at the special features, but it was too expensive for me at the time. You know, I wasn't getting a lot of money at the time, so... I wasn't getting a lot of hours at work, so I had to, like, hold off on that, but I'm getting more now. And, like, when Christmas is done and all that stuff, and I'm, you know... Christmas money and all my Christmas shopping is done, I'll probably pick it up then, because if you're a collector, you like collecting different versions of movies. Now this movie is, it's unbelievable how good it is. Blue Underground, they're like one of the best horror and, you know, grindhouse exploitation, you know, releases out there. I know a lot of people like Something Weird, but Something Weird just pretty much does schlocky exploitation. And Blue Underground, for most of the releases I've seen of them, sure they have a lot of schlocky stuff, but the schlock is solid schlock. That was really weird to say, but I stand by it. Son of a gun. The next is, I have to show through this because I don't have the movie individually, and it's because this was the best deal. It's this is the Bela Lugosi collection, but the one I wanted to talk about is the Black Cat. I think it was, yeah, the Black Cat, definitely the Black Cat. The Black Cat, it just, something about that just piques the interest of the human mind just so vividly. It's a really beautiful movie. It's partially a love story, partially a horror story, done really well, and I get really irritated with Twilight and stuff like that, trying to like mend things that don't belong together. But the way they did it with this is unbelievable. How well they did it, showing that you can have a love story with something else and not make it dumb. Like, that's my problem with Twilight. You can have a romantic vampire story, just don't make it stupid. Do it well. Don't still have the vampire be the monster that he is. Not just... This isn't about Twilight. This is about Bela Lugosi. I apologize. But just see, definitely get this collection. It's pretty cheap. I think I paid, 15 bucks for it. But with the shipping, it cost me, 20-some. Shit, am I missing a disc? Never mind. I'm not missing a disc. Good. Because look how it is. It's a double-sided disc, and I thought, whatever, you don't need to hear it. It's just, I was just being an idiot then. It comes with Murders in Rue Morgue, Black Cat, The Raven, Invisible Rain, Black Friday. You definitely need to check all those, anyone who's watching this, get this set, because it shows, all these movies are solid, but my favorite of it is The Black Cat, definitely. Bela Lugosi is probably one of the best horror actors of all time. He may be my favorite horror actor is Vincent Price. No doubt in my mind, Vincent Price, he's number one. He's, top. There's, a standard that I know no one will be able to reach. You can't even see it on the camera because that's how high my hands raise. I like to kind of, joke around with, people I work with because everyone thinks I'm the creepy guy. they know me, and like sometimes I'll joke around with them and become the creepy guy, and like it's always I'll either be like having an more of a Vincent Price type of style, or more of a Bela Lugosi style. And whenever I like do like little short films with my friends, it's those two that definitely hold the like most inspiration to me. Ooh, next one. Oh dear. This movie got remade, and the remake was terrible. You know the remake was terrible. I know the remake was terrible. Everyone knows the remake was terrible. It also had a sequel come out recently. Haven't seen the sequel. Don't want to see it. It looks bad. You may know what I'm talking about. You may know. You may think you don't know, but you think you do know. And you might as well figure out that you probably do know. Wicker Man. The original Wicker Man. Undeniable horror masterpiece. For the most part, it isn't even really a horror movie. Christopher Lee said it's not a horror movie. It's something else. But the amount of terror that this movie made me feel when I saw it. Oh, dear Lord. The ending alone is worth the purchase of this, because it's one of the most depressing endings in a movie. But it works, especially with the movie. If you see the full movie, you're just like, holy, did that just happen? Like, I mean, I don't want to give spoilers away here, but the movie is solid. Throughout the entire thing, you get this eerie feeling that something's not right. You know that from the beginning. An unassuming Christian man goes into pagan territory and tries to find this missing girl. And he's not in his world anymore. Like, it's unbelievable. And then it all builds up to this last, climax. Wonderful movie. You have to see it. You have to see it. Only for the big ending. I mean, I know a lot of you already probably know the ending, but you gotta see this movie either way. Wonderful movie. Suspiria. You know, I'm not even gonna give it in a show because you know Suspiria. I think everyone who's subscribed to my channel knows what Suspiria is. But for those of you who are just tuning into my channel, check this out. Suspiria is by Dario Argento, the horror extraordinaire. I said before that my favorite Dario Argento movie is Opera. That's changed because I've actually wound up, since I bought Opera and this, I've actually wound up watching this more than Opera. This is I like the artistic style of like how everything works. I like the way the people die. As weird as that sounds, it's a very dark and eerie movie, and it's solid. You have to check this out. I'm not going to go on too much about it because I don't want to give too much away. But this is a great movie. You've got to check it out. Like I said, I don't want to talk about it too much because most people already know about that. Like, anyone subscribe to that channel, it's like one of the more talked about in this little community that we have here. You just gotta see it. It's very good. Next up is a very controversial and disturbing movie. Let me look at this. I want to make sure there's no nudity on it. Alright, yeah, there's like nudity inside of it, so I'm not going to show like the inside cover or anything like that. It's Cannibal Holocaust. This movie's something else. I shouldn't be playing with this because this is actually I think from what I understand this is actually the limited edition, like not limited edition, whatever, but this one didn't. I don't know, I'm not going to really go into it too much about that, but this movie, let me tell you something. I first saw this movie. Like, I remember someone bringing it up. He was a cool duder. He brought it up in one of his videos. He said, it's like, what people say about it is real. And that's the first time I ever heard about it. I haven't heard about it beforehand. Like, I wasn't into underground horror or anything like that. And then he brought it up. And I couldn't find it in a store anywhere. So I had to wind up, like, I couldn't rent it, Blockbuster didn't have it, Netflix was still in its, beta stages, and we didn't even have Netflix at the time, so I couldn't rent it. So I wound up going online to find this, and I found it on YouTube. Not YouTube, I'm sorry. It was Google Video. They had the full movie on Google Video. Does anyone remember that? I'm not sure if Google Video still is a thing, because I don't really care anymore about Google Video. And I watched it, and then one scene got me. The rock, like the guy with the rock with the girl on the beach. That scene still stuck in my head as one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen. And this movie, with the actual killing of the animals, makes it, also, the animals that they would actually eat, I'm not too mad at, but, I know they actually killed innocent animals. It doesn't bother me a whole lot, but I can see why people would be really upset about something like that. But it doesn't take away from the fact that it's a really well-made film. The fact that a lot of the images that you see in this movie don't leave your head and it still disturbs you is something else. It could be considered one of the best movies ever made. It did exactly what it had to do. I know it sprung up tons of controversy, banned everywhere, but doesn't change the fact that the movie is well made. It is terrifying, and it's the first, from what I understand, it's the first found footage movie, and it's actually, it's an actual found footage movie too, similar to VHS where they actually find the footage. Okay, kind of, because in the beginning of the movie they don't explain how they find the kids. Well, they might, for all I know, where they actually show them finding the footage, making it an actual found footage movie. And the stuff they show that happens to these characters, you can almost believe it's real. Obviously it's not, because if it was, it got controversy for everyone thinking it was real, especially with the girl on the Spike, I'm sorry, or whatever. And it was unreal. It was just, yeah. Pretty much all I can say about that. Okay, the next is actually a trilogy, but I'm putting them all as one because I love them all equally. And it's the Romero Dead trilogy. I'm sure once I said Romero, everyone knew it instantly was talked about. Now, it's not the, not including Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, or Survival of the Dead. I don't own Survival of the Dead, so I couldn't show it anyway. Yeah, these are definitely the best ones. Land of the Dead isn't bad. Night of the Living Dead remake was okay. Same thing with the Dawn of the Dead remake. I used to really hate the Dawn of the Dead remake. Now I just kind of think it's alright. The Day of the Dead, it's not even a remake. It's kind of just a thing. The Day of the Dead remake thing was absolute no. Land of the Dead was actually pretty good. Not as good as these. That's why I'm not including it. And Diary of the Dead was alright. Survival of the Dead was alright, but also kind of sucked. And then, there was the spin-offs, Flesh Eater, starring the first zombie. There was the zombie movies that spun off of this. Technically, only technically don't get, I know how it worked, don't, get started. Please don't leave comments, I know exactly how it was. I don't need to read it. I don't need to read an explanation because I do know the history of it. There was the Day of the Dead 2, which don't see, it's really bad. Day of the Dead 2 is more or less a remake of, it's more or less the sequel. I would consider it more of a sequel to the remake than the original. Oh god, was that bad. Then there was Children of the Living Dead, which was also really bad. Then there was the 30th anniversary of Night of the Living Dead, which was its own movie, which tried something but didn't work. And yes, I have seen it, by the way. I'm kidding, I actually didn't, but I know what they did, and I'm not accepting it. Yeah, what was I thinking about? Oh, yeah, I'm going to actually talk about these. Personally, my favorite is Dawn of the Dead, and Donnie, I think he said his favorite's either Night or Day. Now, these movies are really good. Anyways, like, all three of these movies are solid. I can safely say that I love them all equally, even though I said before that Dawn of the Dead is my favorite. If I were to redo that top 30 movies, these would all tie. When I do top 10 lists, I always cheat, because I don't care. Yeah, like, first one is definitely the creepiest. The second one is definitely the not really loneliest, but like, it's the most fun out of all of them, honestly. It just is, and it does have its share of creepiness. This one is also the loneliness, like the one that makes you feel the loneliest, as well as it's also the one with the best gore effects. Like, the gore effects in this are beautiful. Like, all these have really good gore. The first one didn't have as much gore as the following two. And really, I don't need to talk about them too much since most people have already seen them all already. And from what I understand, a lot of people give this a lot of crap, but I don't understand why. I even showed it to my friends. They didn't really like it that much. But Donnie and I both agree that these are all solid. Day of the Dead especially. Like, especially meaning that it's just unfairly treated. Land of the Dead... I mean, Land of the Dead was... It's kind of funny because I always consider Land of the Dead an unofficial remake of Day of the Dead due to reasons of Land of the Dead was originally the plot to Day of the Dead. But due to budget constraints, they went with this. And it's a good thing they went with this because I think it works better, this plot anyway, for Day of the Dead. Land of the Dead is still solid in its own right. Not great, just good. Just solid. You know what I mean. But all three of them are beautiful movies, like really good movies. It's unfortunate that George Romero really can't get reimbursed for this, because he definitely deserves it due to rights eaters. Because I think it was called Night of the Flesh Eaters originally, and he got the rights to that, but not this. And I have a bunch of, I don't have a bunch. I'm lying. There's like a bunch of movies that kind of ride on the names and stuff like that. There's Return of the Living Dead, which kind of technically is a technical kind of maybe sequel. I mean, it's based loosely, almost has nothing to do with it, but it's based on a book, that Return of the Living Dead, which was actually a sequel to this, like a direct sequel to that. And there's City of the Living Dead, has nothing to do with it, but it's still that. The Zombie series, and yes, I do know, don't tell me what I already know. There's also Night of the Dead, which is an asylum movie. That is actually pretty cool, but there's some really dumb effects in it, and the ending kind of doesn't make sense. And then I think there's Dawn of the Living Dead. I think that's a thing. Yeah, it actually is, because I remember seeing it at my library before. I was gonna take it out, but I have too much self-respect. But anyways, if you haven't, I don't know why you wouldn't have seen this yet. I mean, unless you're really young. But definitely check these out if you get the chance. And watch them in order so you can see the movies progress. Not through plot, because they can all take place in its own universe for all I care. But they do take place in a chronological story, more or less. I mean, none of the characters repeat. But to show how the effects work and how better the acting gets, you definitely need to check these out if you haven't already. Alright, the next is Alien. Not much to say about it. Solid movie. Definitely a classic. I like Aliens more, but this is an actual horror movie where Aliens is a sci-fi action thriller. Yeah, if you haven't seen Alien yet, definitely give it a watch. Predator's also good. Not Alien versus Predator, obviously, that movie's kind of crappy. But Alien is definitely a movie you need to see because it's more or less a slasher movie in space. There's really not much to say about it other than that, so I'm just going to move on to the last one I have here. Well, technically there's two more because I want to make an announcement after this. Even though no one watches my channel anyway, so announcements are pretty much mean nothing. But it's still something I need to talk about. The next is, I just showed it anyway, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, isn't this the coolest case ever? It's solid steelbook case. I like steelbook cases, by the way. It's a shame I can't get more of them. From what I understand, they're not really released here too much in America. Like most steelbook cases, they're released in more foreign countries. But this is a really good movie. I remember the first time I watched it. I was in the living room. I watched it with all the lights off, and it's like I was watching my nightmare play out on the screen. And it's like your spine just tingles. It's like, dude, what? And then like with the family and all that stuff, oh, it's such a creepy movie. And even now, like, it's giving me kind of chills. And if you're gonna get this movie, get this edition, definitely. I heard the Blu-ray edition may be better. I might get this on Blu-ray someday. Maybe not. I don't really know yet. But yeah, comes with a lot. It comes with good bonus features, like 2 discs. 2 disc bonus features. One that fills up this first disc and second disc. Definitely great movie. Like Leatherface is one of the iconic villains, and I repeat, I am not seeing Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Texas Chainsaw 3D. That looks stupid. That looks really freaking stupid. Like, I know some people might be hyped for it, but I personally think it looks retarded. It looks like it might make me, like with the Evil Dead remake, I don't care what Bruce Campbell says. I love Bruce Campbell. I love you to death. But the Evil Dead remake, that looks like just modern day schlock, and that's not what Evil Dead was about. It was about going beyond, and gore has become acceptable now. It has become so mainstream in horror films that it doesn't matter how gory you make it. It doesn't matter what the tongue thing. It doesn't matter what you do with that movie. It's just going to be a crummy remake, and that's all I can see it as. I don't care if Sam Raimi hypes it up. I don't care if Bruce Campbell hypes up. I don't care if Steven Spielberg says it's the greatest horror movie ever made. It doesn't change the fact that it's just modern day schlock over top of a classic film series. You can debate me with that all you want. It's just my opinion. I don't care. But the Evil Dead remake looks like utter trash, and so does Texas Chainsaw 3D. I probably should have added the Evil Dead movies, but I was kind of in a rush when I made these, so excuse me on that one. Anyways, done with that. That was that. You know, not top 10, but 10, technically 12. Yeah, 12, I think. Horror films that you need to see. Now I'm going to stop this right now because there's going to be another video, an important one that you need to see.